Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Venkatesh, and it's around dozen we have with us now. We'll start. I'll just give you a brief introduction on myself. From there, we take a few slides that I like to show as part of this discussion, and really the larger part of the discussion is open to questions that you might have on what we've done and how we are trying to build our business on a digital first way. A little about myself. I graduated from IIM Bangalore '97. If there is any problem in the audio or video, Pavin, sorry, I will need you to inform me. Otherwise, I will just rattle away. Please put in the chat window any questions you may have at any point of time. So I graduated '97, joined Hindustan Lever, spent 4 years in sales, then did a second MBA with INSEAD in France, spent about 9 years in Europe selling tires for Michelin, both B2B and B2C tires. Came back in 2010, joined the telcos, and I worked with Airtel in various positions, B2B, B2C, for about 5-6 years. Started my own company in 2017, which was a boutique consulting company called Hypersonic Advisory, and we would work with early stage companies and SMEs doing build, operate, transfer projects in sales and marketing. So my specialization is sales and marketing. We started that company and moved that proposition of consulting onto a platform called GroCurv on the 1st of January 2019. So GroCurv is India's largest marketplace for marketing and sales services. The reason I'm talking to you all, the reason I do this discussion is essentially the fact that I am 46 and I learned some new skills in the past 15 months. These skills were largely alien to me because I used to work in large companies that had big marketing budgets, Airtel, Michelin, Hindustan Lever, and brands used to have been built over many decades. And my job was to make sure that we are efficiently going and closing sales. However, when I started my business, and I'm a very young entrepreneur, some of you are far more experienced than me in entrepreneurship. The challenge I faced was a lack of resources, and how do I use the few resources I have to build and scale up my business, especially on the demand side. I'm a marketplace, so I need suppliers, which are agencies, and I need customers on the demand side. How do I build the two together in limited resources was my big challenge. And my journey has been about how I have overcome those challenges, how I confronted those challenges. I'm still not in the stratosphere in terms of business and business growth, but I found a way. And I think in these times, over the last few months, our platform has had a huge inflow of people questioning, asking questions around how does one go from offline to online? That has become a fundamental question because yes, the offline world is restricted right now and going forward will remain restricted in some shape or form for a few months, if not quarters. What does one do? How can one use this time to build the brand online? How can one use this time to build a funnel online? Those are the questions that started to come to us. And I prepared this little process that we went through as a talk and as a presentation to share around. I have now shared this with over 750 people. And thanks to Pavin to put together some of those groups. So this is really why I'm here. I think I've done something interesting that might be of use to you in moving your business and your brand and your funnel from offline to online. And I will take 20-25 minutes to just take you through what I did, what my philosophy was, what the company started to do and where we are today. And then we will have maybe 30-35 minutes of questions that you might have specifically on industries that you're working in or approaches that you want to explore. Broadly, through every section of this presentation, I will tell you, do pilots. Do pilots, do pilots, do pilots. Keep it small. Learn from every activity and then expand more, expand more, expand more. Digital marketing services are now extremely affordable. There are lots of skills out there. You need to know what skills you need and how to use them best. With that, I'm still now going to assume you can all still hear me. Pavin, I will appreciate a yes from your end and I will.
All okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Pavin. So let's start again. My first slide is really about marketing and sales. And I think we must just be a little careful about how we use these two words. In my head, it is very clear. Marketing means creating demand. And sales means helping customers for whom demand has been created to go and close their decision process. Whatever last mile concerns they have, whatever doubts they have about how the product will be used, what are the service guarantees, this, that, everything is what the salesman does. But the demand has to be generated by somebody called marketing. He must explain to prospective consumers why they need you, why you're different from others, why you are the best placed to solve their problem, and why you are worth the price you are asking. The salesman goes and makes sure pen is put on paper and a signature is made, deal is closed. Thank you very much. This is critical because over these next few slides, we will keep talking about how demand is being created, how we move from worrying about the top of the funnel rather than necessarily the bottom of the funnel. B2B sales is changing. This is the first thing we started to understand as we started our business and met people around the country. Founders who have won TechCrunch awards over the last decade, the average age of founding was 31. For people selected by Inc. magazine as founders of the fastest growing startups, the average age was only 29. What this meant for us is our buyer was getting younger and younger and younger. This is something very new. This is something I didn't experience for the first 25 years of my career. The person on the other side, especially the higher up the organization you go, is more experienced, has more gray hair, is talking to you with a lot more information. That has inverted today. The person across the table is possibly younger than me, definitely younger than me. However, has far more information than I had at that stage of my career. And today, as I meet him, appears to be my peer and equal in the information that I have about my industry, about my service. With Google and other tools, the buyer is able to completely understand the market for his requirement before he is talking to me. This is phenomenal. This is phenomenal. It puts huge responsibility on what messages I have already communicated to my buyer during the process of his search before the first call has been made with me. B2B sales is changing. Again, 74% research at least half of their work purchases online. 61% research on their mobile, so having mobile ready websites is great. 91% prefer to buy online once they have decided to buy. Now, this ties in with the previous slide that there is just too much choice and too much information processing available out there today. We have to face this reality and we have to work with this reality. People are not waiting anymore for us to give them information. Oh, I have this requirement. Call up 10 people and say, look, can you give me your brochure? Can you give me something about this? Can you tell me? No. Somebody who wants a product or service first goes to Uncle Google. Uncle Google, he starts to find options. He starts to go into different websites from Uncle Google. He says, okay, what are the most popular websites Uncle Google is throwing me? He goes into those websites, looks at information, then decides, okay, which of these guys is really interesting for me to talk to? How do I then talk to a shortlist that he has already made without talking to anybody in the industry? That's the reality that we are faced with. Information is out there. Either you participate in giving that information or you lose the race. Because your competitor, my competitor, is out there giving information about our industry, about our services, about our products. He's giving it in a way that the buyer, using tools of technology available today, is able to ingest them faster, is able to ingest them very transparently, and is able to make up his mind before he speaks. That really is our biggest challenge, to realize that if we don't do it, somebody else is doing it. And he's doing it because there are tools that help the buyer, and the buyer is using those tools all the time. This slide is really about how big B2B sales is across the world. China is a 600 billion B2B market. The US is 340 billion, but we are talking billions here. The world is going on online marketplaces. The world is going to take information and make decisions and buy basis those decisions in online marketplaces without necessarily having to see somebody all the time. This is the Indian context, right? When we saw hundreds of billions of dollars of B2B e-commerce Hello.
Sorry, we need the full screen, please.
Sorry, let me just try and get that. For I'm just going to expand this because that seems an easier way. Is this better? Is this better? Pavan?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So while you said there are hundreds of billions of dollars of transactions happening, India is still at $4 billion, but expected to grow at least 10x in the next 5 years, right? So this transition will happen. It will happen. Tools are getting easier to use. New generations of buyers are coming into the market. Devices are cheaper. Broadband is cheaper. Everybody has lots of information. Everybody wants to feel better informed before they talk to you. And if that's the case, then they are going to start doing everything online. And we need to start facilitating that journey. We need to be with them. We need to lead that journey. We need to make sure they're listening to our websites, our content, our ideas before they get influenced by somebody else. Here are some B2B websites. You must have seen all of these guys: Industry Buying, India Mart. They're all there. Brands are there. However, the big question is, how does one start to influence consumers on marketplaces such as India Mart, Industry Buying, Amazon now, Power to SME? All of these marketplaces allow you to come together to sell, allow consumers to come together to buy. But the big question for you is, how does your brand get ahead of the others? So what are the emerging rules? I'm going to rush through some of these now. This slide, please try and absorb how it has impacted your lives and how it will continue to impact your lives. Strangers on dates with strangers. I know you know somebody who has been on Tinder and has had a date on Tinder. It is impossible if the next generation people we are in touch with haven't already explored these kind of platforms. Strangers on dates with strangers, Tinder. Strangers on taxi rides with strangers. I think all of us have taken an Uber or an Ola ride today. Strangers buying books from strangers, right? Amazon 10 years ago was selling, Flipkart was selling books. Then it started to sell a whole range of products. Last month, almost 80% of my household purchases were from Amazon. This is how technology is creating trust between strangers. Either we participate and we demand that technology give us more factors for establishing trust, but we can't avoid this. We can't avoid this. Every facet of our life, there is a platform that is creating trust between buyer and seller, ensuring money is exchanged between buyer and seller, ensuring services are delivered between buyer and seller. There is a platform that's ensuring that through technology. We use technology in ensuring the buyer, right? When a buyer comes to our platform, we use LinkedIn, we use social media to be absolutely certain the buyer is legitimate. When a seller onboards the platform, we use a lot of social media tools to understand that what he's saying, what case studies, what he's saying, what testimonials is true. These are technologies available, we integrate the two. And therefore try and create trust between buyer and seller on the platform to say everything is trustworthy, put the money through us, we will make sure money is paid when services are delivered. This is the fundamental change that the world is seeing. People are willing to put trust on other strangers as long as the pipe in between can come in and enforce the rules of the contract. The only reason Tinder works is Tinder gives both sides security that nothing will go wrong. Uber works because Uber gives both sides of the transaction security that if anything goes wrong, press a button, the police will be with you in 5 minutes. And Amazon gives you that trust that if anything goes wrong, we will take the product back from you, we will put money back into your account till you come back to your next transaction. This will happen in every facet of your life. There will be platforms that will facilitate trust between strangers and will take the transaction away from the offline world. I have to be part of that. You have to be part of that. Everybody in business has to be part of these transactions that are happening between strangers, because there is no point us holding on to doubt, holding on to suspicion, because technology is putting everything out there. You search for Venkatesh Rangachari, you will know everything I've done, right from LinkedIn to my news articles about me to my posts on Medium, to how I've reacted to different posts on Medium. You will know everything about me. B2B is going further away from product expertise to relationship expertise. It is now about building your virtual persona. People first want to trust the organization, first want to trust the person, then they will come to trust the product and service. There is no way out of this. They have to start trusting the label that you have around your product and service. What does GroCurv mean? What does this company mean? Why is it reliable? Why is it relevant for me? Why should I trust it? Is all the decisions he is making before he says, okay, now let me start to initiate a transaction here. It will happen to your product and service as well. It must be happening already. And my job in the last 15 months has been to try and keep building this virtual persona, keep building this virtual persona, keep giving information to people out there so that they can start to trust us. Whether it's through our blog posts, whether it's through our case studies, whether it's through testimonials, whether it's through video webinars that we do, whether it's the content we are creating and putting out there to show everybody good people are associated with us, good agencies are associated with us, we are good people. Everybody has to create we are good people online, because that's where the buyer is now starting to consume and make decisions. So your virtual persona is becoming more and more and more important every day. B2B sales is going from on-site to off-site. This is so true. For 2 years, I was a consultant going shaking hands, closing business in the office of my customer. It is now 1.5 years where I have not met a single of my customers, shaken hands with him, but we have closed more business than we ever did as consultants. People are not interested anymore in who is coming through the door, shaking hands with him. They are interested in knowing the person I spoke to on the phone, what do I know about him online. If the two are credible, they are happy to go ahead with the transaction. You have to accept that not just these times of the virus pandemic, but going forward as well, it is just becoming more and more and more efficient. Today, we do almost 600 minutes of calls on Zoom on our platform every day between clients and prospective agencies. People are just not interested, not available. They find it far more efficient to start doing business off-site rather than on-site. This is a reality which will tie into the fact that you must have your online persona ready, strong, and getting updated every day. B2B is going towards sales and marketing. Going back to the first slide, you have to work to create demand for your product, which a salesman can go and complete. The two roles must be seen as quite different now. Earlier, the salesman used to carry brochures, he used to carry product presentations, he used to carry demonstrations. He would do the job of sales and marketing together. Now you have to ensure that you have two different heads thinking about how my marketing must happen. And therefore, how is my salesman best empowered to go and close a deal? Very quickly now running into what kind of platforms we used while we were starting to make the transition. Right? This is a realization that we hold very close to ourselves. No matter how large or small a company, expertise must be established continuously. Tomorrow, another competitor could come on board and start talking right into my customer's ear using the right platforms, and my customer will suddenly start thinking more about him than about me. Tomorrow, somebody launches a new product. Yes, he shows expertise in a direction that I may already have, but he is not in a position to engage with me anymore. The plethora of platforms out there depend upon B2B, B2C, depend upon what your intent is. Whether you want to build yourself as a brand, your company as a brand, a particular product as a brand, whether your product is a B2B product, whether it is a B2C product, these are the choices that you kind of keep in mind before you go into the platform. Please excuse me for a second. Work from home has its challenges. I need to close the door. I also have 3 children studying from home, so it's a bit of a challenge. My apologies. We come back here. You have a range of options out there, starting from LinkedIn. Almost everybody's on LinkedIn now. It's a beautiful platform for B2B. It is a beautiful platform for building your own persona, your company's persona. Medium is evolving as a very, very competent platform for expressing your ideas in long format essays. A lot of people used to tell us, long format essays is dying. Medium has killed that thought, reversed it altogether. If you spend time on Medium and select what you're looking for, you will find amazing articles to suit every aspect of your personality. So it's a very, very good place to be. Tools like Lucia are amazing and intriguing. Lucia works with LinkedIn. When you open LinkedIn and you've downloaded Lucia on your desktop, no matter whose profile you go to, Lucia will tell you their email ID and their phone numbers. Right? It is a far more powerful tool than LinkedIn Sales Navigator that I've ever experienced. It makes my lead generation much faster, much stronger, much more relevant. The Economics Times Wealth, Mint. This is where PR and press comes into play. I'll take you through what are the good hacks that we've learned on how to develop PR, how to develop visibility in the press community. But really, there is a lot of platforms out there for you to think about, for you to start working with, for you to start engaging with. What I tell everybody is please start with 30 minutes a day. If at the end of this webinar, you can go back and start tomorrow morning 30 minutes on your own social media platforms, whatever you choose after this discussion, you will have made phenomenal progress in the next 30 days. 30 minutes a day is all I'm going to ask of you. 30 minutes a day is all I give, whatever we've been doing for the past 15 months. We're coming quickly to the close. Okay, what does this mean? LinkedIn, it's about you, your experiences, your success stories, your point of view. Functional expertise counts for a lot. It's about building you as a person that I can trust. Typically, 1 in 5 articles could be more personal in nature, about how you feel about your growth as an individual, as a professional, etc. But largely, keep it focused on putting together a point of view about your industry, about your company, about new products and services, keeping it as generic as possible. It isn't, none of these platforms work very well when you're highly focused on advertising yourself. Rather, they work very well when you're focused on creating knowledge for the wealth and creating knowledge basis for the benefit of the others. Medium, like I said, long format text, again about experiences. Long format works very well because it gives you, it pulls you in much better than a short video does. This is my view. You could have it challenged by others. Short format videos are great in giving you a very quick overview of something, but a long format article takes you very nicely into why something exists, what's the background, what's the purpose of this particular article, how is it going to impact you, how should you use it. So that's why I make the distinction between two. You will see on our website, you will see on our YouTube pages, we've got a series of short formats, but they're for very specific use cases. We've got a series of long formats that are for very, very different knowledge building use cases. Twitter, the most dangerous animal out there is a little bird that goes tweet, 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 tweet. It is dangerous because it forces you to show your personality like none of the other platforms. On Twitter, unless you are able to have a strong point of view on things that are contemporary, something that is happening today, Twitter means you have to be there 4 or 5 times a day, writing short snippets, expressing your point of view, either left, right, whatever, about things that matter to you. So on Twitter, you start showing what things matter to you, and you start to show how they matter to you. What is your stand? And therefore, you take a risk. People may like it, people may not like it. You have to take a risk on Twitter. Unless you do that well on Twitter, you're wasting your time being on Twitter. Do not go there. Go there to read other people, enjoy their point of view, criticize them, salute them, celebrate them. But unless you are willing to have your brand out there get thrashed or appreciated in equal measure, avoid it. It's a very, very difficult platform to master unless you're very clear about your personality as a brand online. Instagram and Pinterest, I haven't put Pinterest here. These are now becoming very, very interesting both for B2B and B2C. Instagram is very simple, yet in its simplicity, it will confuse, it will confound, it will frustrate you. Its simplicity is it's a visual platform. Go there with the help of somebody who can give your brand great visual consistency. Consistency is your best friend as you start your journey to go offline to online or establish yourself stronger online. Consistency. Whatever themes you choose, whatever topics you choose, whatever personalities you choose, keep them going on for 12, 15, 18, 24 months. That's where the strength of your brand will get established. whether it's LinkedIn, Medium, Twitter, Mint, anywhere. Instagram requires visual consistency. Take few colors. Do not clutter it with too many colors. Do not clutter with too many pieces of things on the same image. Do not clutter it with text. It is disheartening to see how many people use Instagram and fill it with posters of their new product launch, fill it with offers which have 200 words. Oh, it is heartbreaking. This is a platform that excels when you have images, clean, simple images. The consistency of that image is what touches your eyes, and through your eyes, your brain, and establishes your brand in that customer's mind. Not the promises you make, not the wide repertoire of products you have, not the offers you're running. Insta is not for that. It is for simply saying, this is who I am, very clean, very consistent, very clear. And because I'm so good, you will want to spend more time on me just looking at things that I can provide for my customers. And that is what builds it into your head. Mint and PR. PR, please, there are two routes to PR. The first route to PR is go with an agency, but it takes time. Do not run into PR if it's a short-term engagement that you're looking for. PR does not fire unless you've invented something massive. It does not fire for anything before 45, 60 days. And even then, its tonality is very, very, very light to start with and only gets heavier over time. The other way to do PR is look at the articles you're going through in the newspaper, articles you read in relevant press, find out who writes about you, follow those people on LinkedIn and Twitter. Follow those people, follow their stories, appreciate their stories, link with them, comment on their stories, encourage them. That's another very interesting way of building rapport with people in press. They can come back to you with questions, comments on specific articles. That's a great way to say, yes, they are now building trust with me. And over time, they will be able to also reciprocate with articles in your favor. That's again long term. So PR, if you want something really short, very quick, you need to pay money, significant money usually to get very quick impact. If you do the long run game, do it consistently, meet people, talk to people online, comment on their work, compliment them, build the relationship over time. That also helps. But it's a long game. PR is a long game. Do not run into it unless you really want to establish yourself over a period of time. So very quickly, last slide, what is it I have been doing, right? How do I spend my time? So for me, LinkedIn is my bread and butter. I spend a lot of time there writing, reading. I started with 30 minutes a day. Now I go up to 45, 50 minutes a day. I try and put something new twice a week, reach out to people. Everything for me is LinkedIn based. I now get a good number of leads from LinkedIn. It's a very, very consistent engine. I spend a little money, maybe 1,500 rupees a day on promoting certain posts, but that's really not very significant money for the quality of leads we now start to get from LinkedIn. Twitter, I'm not very good at it. I accept I'm not very good at it at all. I try my hand at it. I keep trying to learn from other people on Twitter, so I spend time there because I want to learn. I do a very bad job on GroCurv on Twitter. It's really that. I don't know how much of my brand personality I want to express on Twitter. How ready am I to get abused by people who don't like something I'm saying, etc. So Twitter, I'm not very good at. Medium, I do a lot of posts on Medium from our blogs on the website. We transfer a lot of work on Medium. And PR, yes, I do option A. Sorry, I do option B, which is connecting with people that write about our industry, write about our services, and try and offer my point of view anytime they're doing something interesting in the space. So it's a long-term approach that we've got with PR. This is really how I look at my pyramid of activity every day. How did I start about each of these activities? And this is very important because you guys need to also understand what my experience is, right? I'm not suggesting anybody needs to get into this, but it's just what my experience is, how I have used it. I know that a few years ago, digital agencies were far more expensive. Now there is a lot more talent available. The prices are really something that we could work with. Initially, we spent money with the LinkedIn agency to help build our follower base. This is an activity that I would strongly recommend anybody trying to go online does. Take an agency who can help you build your follower base on LinkedIn, because everything in LinkedIn happens with your own network that you've built. So typically the agency will talk to me and figure out what kind of TG I want, what kind of customers I want, build that profile, and on my behalf, outreach all of those guys, introduce me, introduce my company, introduce my service, send them a presentation about all of us, and build connect, such that it leads to a lead, and then they will follow the lead back to me. We used to use this at least for about the first 4 or 5 months. After that, we stopped, because once we had our base of leads, I knew what kind of content to create to keep that base engaged. So none of this is really a full-time continuous activity that needs to be done. But yes, it gives you a boost when you go from level 0 to level 1. And beyond that, you can start to use the same skill tricks that the agency uses, because you're in touch with them. They will teach you a few things. Use the same tricks again and again and again. When you reach a second plateau, you go back to the agency and say, look, I've reached a second plateau. I need another bump. Take another 3-4 months. Get the next bump, move to the next level. That's really how I use agencies. We don't have anybody in-house except me that puts posts and puts posts on different platforms. But when we started, we used the agency to get some very quick tricks and hacks on how to move from 0 to 1. Agencies will typically write content for you as well. Today, I do all my writing, but there was a time in the past where the agency would help write content for me. They would charge anything between 3 to 4, 2.5 to 3.5 rupees a word, depending on how much content, what kind of content you want written. They would write that for you. You will validate it. You will approve that its tonality is correct, that it's giving the right information, and start using that as well. Again, all of this was really temporary while we started to build our base, and then over time, we started to take everything in-house. Today, my spends look a little like I do some on SEM, which is people searching for my services on Google. I spend a little money on that. Like I said, on LinkedIn, I spend about 1,500 rupees a day, and everything else, I produce our own content. Anybody who needs content, I think, should just get into a habit of getting a good writer, writing agency, do maybe 5,000 words a month, depending on the industry you're in. But broadly, it's now a matter of thousands rather than lakhs, as it used to be not very long ago in the digital space. Thank you. So that's all I wanted to talk to you about as background. What I'd be very, very happy is questions that you guys would like to ask. I think I'm going to try and would it be easier if you could just put in these questions on the chat window, and it would be easier. Otherwise, we might just have the risk of too many people talking at the same time. So really nothing more from me. Very open to answering any questions you might have, specific industry questions, specific platform questions, specific how to select an agency questions, anything at all. Over to you guys.